Hey guys, this is basically going to be therapy for me in the quest for truth. I woke up at like 4 or 3 something in a panic attack basically. Maybe not in a full-on panic attack, but I just woke up sweating and just with terror surging through my body. And I've basically felt terror in my body around the clock here, with some very small breaks, right? And it's interesting because I'm here. I have like negative money at this point, which is fine. I'm in the middle of transforming my beliefs around money and this sort of thing. I know I was gonna have to go through this at some point. A lot of the people I aspire to kind of emulate, they went through stretches where they had massive debt, and it helped them heal their fear of money. And I kind of knew that was gonna happen for myself in some ways. And it's helping me liberate. And I just bring up my financial stuff because it's a real thing. It's a real human thing that I'm learning on the fly on how to work with. But yeah, so I woke up and I just was in terror and panic. And all day yesterday, I was basically just surrendering to terror and panic. And I would have moments where I would move through and I'd feel, I wouldn't even say good, but just a little peace, you know? And at times it's been like hard to function. I'm barely eating, not sleeping that much. And it's interesting. So like the situation is like like negative money, just having a little bit of access to some money on a credit card that's almost maxed out, and just a little bit of money on PayPal, and like a day and a half more at the place I'm at, right? I'm no longer with the friend I came here to be with. It's like we love each other, but the heart wasn't in coherence with it. And so we parted and my heart felt a lot better. But there was still this sense of like terror in my body, and not that terror is like a problem or bad. It's just like I could feel this morning my psychological nature, my humanity. It just like was like really having a tough time. Like my spiritual nature, pure awareness, it's always fine. It can always kind of just like keep walking forward. It's like, but at the same time, the awareness is the human too, and it's all one. And the awareness will look out for the human, and the awareness will notice like, okay, this human body, this psychological nature is at a point where it needs a different experience, right? It needs a more grounding experience. And what's coming up for me right now is just the shame. The shame. It's like I'm always taken to this point where I have to not win, where I'm not coming out the quote unquote hero, you know? Like I didn't go to Guatemala and like I didn't go to Guatemala and like transform into this shaman who just feels safe everywhere, right? And in the body, it's like in the nervous system. It's like once again, I'm coming to a place, and it seems that purpose was to take me to my limits, my human limits, to take me to the threshold of my fears, and to be at that limit for an extended period of time, until it got to a point where I was like, all right, enough is enough. I gotta tap out. Like life has been swallowing up my human will, the part of me that's like wants to keep going, that wants to just prove, I think, to myself at this point. There's probably a lot of it still, like prove to dad, like I said earlier, prove to the world, prove to you guys even that I am strong and I can do it, and I'm in Guatemala and I'm just gonna, whatever the idea is there of what keep going means, right? But it's like there comes a point where it's like the humanity just can't, and it's like so humbling. And so then it's like, I feel like I almost have to make a compromise with what I was considering my highest movement. And I'm kind of going to adopt a new way of feeling the highest and what the highest is in my life going forward. Instead of, for a while, I'm going to feel into this, like it's just an idea I had this morning in meditation. Instead of the highest being equating the highest to like taking aligned action, what I perceive as aligned action in every moment, and never compromising on that, what I consider alignment, movement of alignment, which I'm seeming to have to do like over and over and over again. And then you could argue, like, when I do that, maybe like I don't feel fragmented because I'm not taking aligned action anymore. Maybe it's because I'm with a belief system, I'm the one saying, now this isn't aligned and that's aligned. I'm the one doing that to myself. So I'm like splitting myself. When it's in reality, I don't even have a choice about what's happening, because what's happening is so intense and present moment and big. It seems my life's just getting more and more like intense and present. And it's more and more clear to me that life is just moving through me and doing things, right? Things are just happening. So me, with the spiritual ego sitting up here and saying, oh, that's aligned. Now I took an aligned action and now I didn't. That's the part that's fragmenting me, right? So I've been leaning into and feeling into this new definition of my highest being. In every moment, how much love and compassion and tenderness and forgiveness am I giving myself? Like, that's what I'm going to measure my highest by. Like, in this moment, am I giving myself love? Am I cutting myself some slack? Am I being nice to myself, right? Am I letting go of stories of inner criticism and like I'm unworthy? And am I letting go of stories of should have and shouldn't have? And it's heartbreaking. I can feel the heartbreak right now. Like, gosh. We're just not who I quote unquote want to be or think I should be yet, you know? And now that part of me I'm seeing that part of me needs love. The part of me that thinks it should be something else, that doesn't accept itself for where it's at. That's like, oh, I should be this person that's capable of this by now. What the fuck? And whatever any of that means. And so, yeah, to continue the story, I woke up at 3:30 or 4 in the morning, and the night before I had reached out to my twin flame, which is always something I'm reluctant to do because that connection is such a difficult one for the ego. It's really scary, that connection for the ego, for the human. It hurts a lot. And that's basically what twin flame connections do. They pull up your deepest stuff, and they're just these incredible mirrors for where you're at and what within you're not accepting and all that stuff. And I just kind of reached out and said, hey, and I was serious, but I was also just throwing it out there, like in a real no expectations way, like, hey, you want to fly me to where you are from Guatemala City? Because like I said, I had no money, definitely not enough money to fly anywhere. And going home is just not an option right now. I can feel that energetically. And I don't even have the money to get home, and it doesn't feel true, it doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel true to ask I'm almost hesitating to say what feels true or whatnot, but we can still have that thing. But the thing is, when we do something that quote unquote we perceive might not feel true, it helps us like shifting our perspective, right? But anyways, energetically, I could feel, it's just like timing, and it didn't feel true to ask for a ticket home. It's not, I could just feel like you're not going home. Like that's when I was sitting here last night going through terror, there was something I knew. It's like, okay, something's got to change. It's not going home. And so I was thinking, can I just power through? Can I just make it through here and then maybe go to somewhere in nature and out of the city? And I don't know. The thing is like, I didn't know if I could, and I was willing to try, but I just reached out to her last night and I was like, yeah, do you want to fly me? And she just immediately was like, yeah. And then she was like, you know, could you maybe pay me back? And I said, you know, let me think about that, because I don't want to tell you I'm going to pay you back unless I mean it. And it's like, I don't know. I have had these ideas of like how I'll make all this money and then I'll be able to just pay everyone back. And honestly, that's just not happening. Like I'm trying my hardest to become more balanced in those areas of the finance, but it seems like the harder I try in the financial realm, the less money I have, and it seems like I'm just kind of going through an initiation and a cycle, and I'm not really in control of it, of like the money I'm making or not making. So that's why I was like, look, I don't know. I was like, let me think about that, because I don't want to make promises to anyone right now, because I know where I have the awareness to know like where I'm at in my own process, right? And then she just said, don't even worry about the money, actually. Don't worry about paying me back for now. Just, you know, whatever, just come here. Just send me the link for the ticket. And I was just like, and at first I couldn't even receive it because I had all this shame come up, because I was like, oh no, I'm failing. I should really power through here. 11. My mind's like, that means you should power through. But actually I'm feeling like seeing that is like the point I'm making is in harmony. But I was just like, I couldn't even, I have lots of fear and terror up, just so you know, lots of paranoia. That's one thing that comes up with terror, is like paranoia, right? Everything's out to get me. But yeah, and I was like, maybe I should just keep going. Maybe this doesn't even feel true. Maybe I'm just giving up. Maybe this is weakness. And so I think the weakness I felt about it was just the shame coming up, right? Just shame, more shame to meet with love. And I was like, and I was still like, let's talk about it tomorrow. Let's talk about it tomorrow morning. And because I didn't know if I could even accept that. And I was like, maybe I'm supposed to just keep going or something. So I was really like giving my body, the nervous system, spirit, every opportunity to like send me a message to keep going here and or not, right? And so when I woke up at 3:30 in the morning in not a full-on panic attack, but just like sweating and in terror and my mind going crazy, and it just all happened very quickly, where I reached out and I said, call me right when you get up. And she called me 10 minutes later because she said she was having trouble sleeping too. I feel like the twin flame connections can kind of be like one heart, especially when you're in communication. It's like one heart, which is why they're also very difficult, because you guys really take on each other's stuff, and it is what it is, right? And yeah, and she just was there and just booked it, and it just happened. And so now I'm leaving at 2 in the morning, and I'll be in Oregon at noon. And you know, I was a little ashamed to even come forward and share this truth with you, because here I am, you know, quote unquote, running again. But it's like, I'm consciously running. It's not even like running. I'm consciously like surrendering to the fact that I'm at my limit again. I'm at my threshold of how much further I can go in this kind of experience, right? It's not even like a choice. It's not even all this stuff. It's like the divine is just deepening you and deepening you and deepening you, and you reach these points where it's like the humanity needs breaks, that it needs like space from the constant initiation process. And sometimes we don't get those breaks, and we have to keep going through it, and those are the crazy times, right? And this was crazy because it's been pretty much nonstop. You guys have seen the videos. It's been wild, right? And it's been super intense every moment. And so going somewhere, and the twin flame journey, it's not like it's its own thing, right? But it's a break for the body in a way of like, I'm gonna be at home, meaning America. America feels like home to me. I'm gonna have access to my car probably at some point soon. And it's not like I even know what's gonna happen, but because obviously if you would have told me I was gonna come here and then like 3 or 4 days later I'm gonna go fly to see my twin flame, I'd be like, what? That would be like that would be like one of the, it wasn't even in my field of possibility. And that's kind of like what my life is. Things that don't even feel in the field of possibility are just happening, whether I like it or not. And I'm just like, wow. At this point, I'm just like, wow. Okay, so this is happening now. Okay, Earth. Okay, Gaia. Okay, Divine Mother. And so, yeah, so now today it's just kind of like being with that empty, hollow feeling of shame, like, you know, and not believing it. And noticing like, well, what are you gonna do, man? Like, you know what I've been through in like the last, just since I left Tennessee, since my car blew up and I was forced to leave my home in Tennessee. It's like, the adventure I've been on has been insane. It's like, dude, can you be nice to yourself and realize like you're in a process that you're not in control of and it's having its way with you and you're like clay in its hands and you're not making these choices? And for God's sakes, if there's a choice to make, can you just choose to love yourself in every moment and be at peace with what's happening? Because what's happening is what's happening, and you're not in control of it, right? It's the will of God is what's happening in every moment. And you can judge yourself for it, and you can deduce that, oh, it should have been this way, should have been that way, or I should be different. But that's not actually the reality. You are, it's like, I am who I am, you are who you are. Can we just accept ourselves? I put a quote from this darkness retreat Instagram on my story once. It's like, this path is really just comes down to self-acceptance, and stop wishing we were someone else, like, or wishing we were a different way, or an idealized way in our mind, because that's just like an inner deception and wishful thinking, and it's not that helpful. And so it's like I have an image of who I want to become, but then sometimes, and that's cool, that's fine, but it's like sometimes I gotta look in the mirror and be like, dude, you're fucking awesome now. Like, the shit you're willing to do for the divine is fucking profound. Like, the ride you're on, the ride you agreed to sign up for, because that's all it is for me, is a ride. At this point, it's like, I'm seeing through it so deeply, like how I'm not in control now. It's so clear. It was really clear like 3, 4, 5 months ago, and now it's just like deepening. It's just like I'm on a ride, and it's just like, man, who you are now is a miracle, you know? Even if you have to tap out and go let a soul friend, like, you know, come forward and offer you support, like, fuck, man. At some point I'm getting chills saying this, at some point I'll be in the place to offer others support in that way too. And I'm gonna be so happy to do it, right? And I gotta stop doubting what's happening so much and thinking like it needs to be happening in a different way, because this process is so much bigger than our human minds, right? And maybe this is just happening so that I can feel this shame, so that I can continually be defeated by life, so that I can become humble, so that I can realize like, holy shit, this life is the divine's. This is God's life. How selfish of me at times to think it's my life. God knows better. It's like, we're not sorting life out. Life is sorting us out. And so she's just doing this to me. She's like defeating that will, you know, that personal will is just being gobbled up by the divine through all of these wild and intense experiences where I have to like kind of give up, quote unquote, give up. But it's just not, it's just one never-ending experience though, if you think. It's just one movement actually. My mind's breaking it up and saying, okay, now this experience has to be this way and this one has to be this way. But truly it's just one experience. And learning how to treat myself with compassion and love through this one experience is precious, and is actually the journey. The journey isn't actually to fucking whatever, become the whatever, or succeed, or whatever the mind's vision or the spiritual ego's vision is to do, because there is no doer actually. The journey is just like to come to this place where we love ourselves fully and unconditionally, where we are our own best friend, where we have this deep love affair with our own self, right? Regardless of what's happening in circumstances and what the mind's telling us we're doing good or bad, or we should or shouldn't have done, and all that stuff. And so yeah, this is a really vulnerable video. I mean, what isn't a vulnerable video for me at this point, right? So I was intending, I was like, to my spiritual ego, to my psychological construct, to the human. I was like, let's make a video about this, and we're just gonna speak the truth about what's happening, and we can just put it on Patreon, right? Like if it's too intense. But I think there was so much value that came through from me sharing my truth. I feel like I should probably put it on YouTube, but I'll make that decision after I'm done. If it is on YouTube, I just want to say thank you for a special thank you to Sherry for the recent donation. Your donation's so helpful. And I just bring up my financial situation just to share what's real. I don't even, when I say donations, something wants to say this, it's just like, I appreciate them if this brings you value, if you feel inspired. And this is another shadow of mine, like asking for help and support is really hard for some reason. And accepting it, as you guys learn through this video, accepting support is really hard. I can even feel tension in my back right now talking about this. Like I'm so afraid to talk about finances. I've had this huge fear of money. And so I'm really starting to work through that too. And so I think maybe it's like these videos are always taking me into the places I'm really most afraid of to share about and speak about, because that shines light on those areas, right? So I'm actually starting to discern and intuit I might start talking a lot more about money coming up, and just shedding light on that area. But yeah, if you feel inspired, I do have donation links underneath. Joining the Patreon page is also a great way to support this work. And that's always been something that's interesting for me to ask for, and I've had to even get comfortable even saying that, like saying if you're inspired, here's how to help. Just kind of blocks there, right? And so anyways, I just want to say thanks for being here. Just you watching is so much support. Just you watching brings light to all of this. Ultimately, our support comes from the Divine Mother, and it might come through you guys in various ways. But ultimately, we're always right where the Divine Mother wants us. But yeah, I'm just trying to open myself up more to receiving support and not feeling shame about it. Being like, hey, it's okay for people to help you. Because what do I enjoy the most? I enjoy helping others the most. I enjoy serving. That's why these videos are so fulfilling for me. Because I feel like they help. I love giving myself. And so it's like I'm learning how to, I think we're all learning this, like how to receive. There's just lots of shame about it, and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a long video. It felt really good to be with you guys, to share what's real. I'm sending you all so much love, and just sending you all just like the highest compassion and gentleness and forgiveness for yourselves on your journey, because I know they're hard. I know you have a lot of quote-unquote decisions that are tough to make, and like things are just happening that maybe it's hard for yourself to be there for yourself, and to maybe forgive yourself, and to offer yourself softness and gentleness, right? Because I know the spiritual ego can be full of like a lot of criticisms, and it can be really tough not to believe those. So yeah, much love, guys. I will see you in the next video. Namaste.